Okay. E. That's the gas cylinder. What does it mean? What does it mean if you see it? Himparis? Yeah, under pressure. No, wrong song. F. Explosive. You betcha. G. The skull and crossbones is the universal symbol for death. Use the word deadly. The exclamation mark. Yeah, it's ozone or ozone or less serious health. Might make it difficult to breathe, but isn't necessarily going to damage your lungs. Might make it difficult to see, but isn't necessarily going to damage your eyes. I. Environmental hazard. Environmental hazard. J. That's your biohazard. So bacteria or virus. Cool. What's the point of the pictures? Sorry, Malik? What? I didn't hear what you were saying. Yeah, so if you're, it's a standardized way. So if you aren't reading whatever the local language is, can't or don't read whatever the local language is, you have a pretty good idea what's going on as soon as you look at these things. Absolutely. And it's a quick way to communicate. That's your answer to number 2. Okay. Ammonia. Let's talk about ammonia. Ammonia is found all over the place. It's a cleaner. It's a refrigerant. It's also wildly dangerous. It's commonly found in many laboratories. Below are 3 WHMIS symbols that are found on the safety label for ammonia. So based on these 3 symbols, what are the hazards associated with ammonia? Yes, Himparis. Could kill you. It's corrosive. And damage the environment. I'm going to come back to the could kill you. 2018, you guys were 9. Yeah, 8, 9, something like that. There was an accident at an ice rink in Fernie, BC. Any of you remember hearing about this or seeing it on the news when you were a lot younger? Gentlemen over there, no? Okay. What happened? So ammonia is commonly used as a refrigerant. It's great at absorbing heat. And so they use it in ice rinks as a refrigerant. At the ice rink in Fernie, there was a failure. Because it's also corrosive, a little bit of ammonia managed to eat its way through and began to leak out of the system that it was contained in. The alarms went off, notifying that there was an ammonia leak. But it didn't actually shut down the leak. The ammonia made its way into the circulating system where the water was and vaporized immediately. And the quote from the article I read said something like, the levels of ammonia that were produced were substantially higher than what would be required to kill you quickly. Just from a little bit of just a tiny, it was a pinhole leak in a pipe. 3 guys who went in to try and fix this passed away because they did not follow any of the safety, certain safety requirements that were present. So when you're dealing with ammonia, what are 2 safety precautions you should take when dealing with these kinds of labels? Air quality. So I'm going to use the word ventilation / air quality. You betcha. At the ice rink in Fernie with these 3 gentlemen who passed away, the leak was so bad that the ventilation system that was present wasn't enough to vent all of the ammonia that had been produced. So ventilation is a big deal with ammonia. What else? Was something that could kill you, is corrosive and damaging to the environment. Imparis? Oh, so we're going down to the storage. Yeah, plastic. Plastic jug to store, you betcha. Sorry? Didn't hear you. Or glass, yes. We typically like plastic better because it's lighter, doesn't shatter, but yes, glass would work as well. Going back to the safety precautions, ventilation is a big one. What else should you do to, Olive? Yeah, that's a big deal. Don't pour down the drain. What else? What other safety precautions should you take, Imparis? Mask and gloves. When we say mask here, you guys grew up in COVID. We're not talking about those kinds of masks. When we talk about a mask relating to these kinds of symbols, what kind of mask should you be picturing? Like a full-on, full-face gas mask. Yes. Like seals around the edge, comes down below your mouth, full-face sealed gas mask. So I have a buddy who works in refrigeration. And everyone in his department got fitted for their own personal mask. He's not allowed to have a beard because the hair creates a gap in the seal. So he had to shave his beard off. He had a gas mask fitted directly to him. And that's just in case. So ammonia is serious business. We don't mess with ammonia. But this is exactly what you do. Mask and gloves. Make sure your ventilation is where it needs to be. Don't pour it down the drain. So the storage then, plastic, glass or plastic, absolutely. Any other storage suggestions for ammonia? If I had a glass or plastic jug and it was just sitting on the table there, is that okay? Imparis? Yes. It is a liquid at very low temperatures and very high pressures, but at room temperature it vaporizes, turns into a gas. If you experienced ammonia, you would experience it as you would experience it as a gas. So I've experienced ammonia once. I worked at actually more than once. I worked at a refrigeration storage facility when I was in high school. It was called Versacol. It no longer exists. The company got sold. But down in not Old Abbotsford, like down towards the Abbey Mission Highway, that industrial area, used to be a cold storage facility down there, and I worked there. One of our very first safety things that went on was that the guy responsible for running our ammonia plant, because we had this big ammonia refrigeration unit, is he would come into the break room with a pail that had just he poured a little bit of liquid ammonia in there, and it was constantly turning into a gas. He said, shove your face in this bucket. And we were grade 10, I was your age. I didn't think anything of it. Safety adult comes and says, smell this. So I did, and it burns all the way down. It was a wildly uncomfortable scenario. And he's like, this is just a little bit. It's like, this is a little bit in a bucket, just a smidgen of ammonia. It's like, if you smell this, if you feel it, and it burns your eyes, burns down your nose, burns down your throat. It's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable sensation. He's like, this is just a little bit. If we have a failure, it'll be way more than this. If you even start to feel the hints of these things, he said, just run. Just run, flee, get away, and run into the wind. Because whichever direction the wind is blowing is not the place you want to be, because that's where the ammonia is going to go. It's an effective way to get a first experience. It was a small enough quantity that it wasn't dangerous, and we got the idea right away that this was not something that we wanted to be screwing around with. Ammonia is dangerous. So that's ammonia. Boom. Number 4, you've been told that a chemical can cause and we don't have ammonia in the lab. I won't let you play with just straight ammonia. But ammonia is found in cleaners all the time. Like if you went home and you looked at your bleach cabinet, it will be an ingredient in there. So actually, and I'll have this conversation. We had it in the other class. I'll have it with you guys too. Evelyn in the other class said, "Yeah, but my grandma makes ammonia cookies all the time," which is true. She does. This is a cooking ingredient called ammonium bicarbonate. You would have learned how to name these things in grade 9. We're going to look at naming these things again. And ammonium bicarbonate, we cook with it. It goes in cookies. It gives them kind of a sharper taste. We use it to bake them at Christmas all the time. This, NH3, is ammonia. Kill you, tasty. So the name gets thrown around. Sorry? It's like baking soda. It's a particular kind of baking soda. Yeah. This will kill you. This is tasty. Similar name. Be aware of what you're using. Okay, number 4, you've been told that a chemical can cause damage to some of your internal organs if there is prolonged exposure to the skin. Also that it should be kept away from heat sources because it's highly flammable. What 2 IMIS symbols are going to show up there? It is highly flammable and could damage internal organs if exposed to your skin. What symbols are we using? And you don't need to use more serious symbols than are necessary. Just exactly which ones. Malik? Corrosive you're suggesting, Himparis? Sorry? Flame over circle you're suggesting? You need this moving forward? You can keep it if you want. Play well, win, good luck, see you tomorrow. Okay, so we've got flame over circle was suggested and corrosive was suggested. So corrosive would mean it would burn through your skin. Is that what it says here? It says it can damage your internal organs if there is prolonged exposure to the skin. And you said oxidizer. An oxidizer just provides oxygen, makes other things flammable. Are those the 2 symbols we should use here? Lexi. Yeah, this is your highly flammable means your classic flame. It's not providing oxygen, it's just going to burn with whatever oxygen is present. Absolutely. The flame symbol you want, and which other one? Lexi. Which one? There's 3. The one with like the starburst on the heart? Yeah, that guy. You want the serious health hazard symbol. Those are the 2 you want to use. Could a serious health hazard kill you? Yes. Is it going to kill you immediately? No. So because it's not going to kill you immediately, we don't need to use the... He just left. Totally derailed my train of thought. Yeah, it's gone. That's okay. Flame, serious health hazard. The starburst on the heart one, you betcha. What are the hazards associated with it? Well, it's right here. We don't need to... B is a kind of a redundant question. But C, describe 2 safety precautions you should take when using this chemical. There's at least 2. Angel. You bet. Lexi. Yes, keep away from fire. You betcha. And what's another one? Yep. Yep. Keep it away from things that can make it catch on fire. You betcha. Yes, sir? Give me an example of what you mean by that. You betcha. Wear protective equipment. In this case, the lab coat is a good one. And it doesn't say anything about the breathing being a problem. Gloves, you betcha. There it is. You don't need to go overboard. Like if every time I told you should definitely wear gloves, you also needed to go get a gas mask, we would never do anything in the lab. But there are certain, yeah, so there you go. Love it. Here is, that's the end of this little booklet. Here is your next task. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to do it, and we're going to talk about it. You guys are going to get one of these. This is the Aggie Senior Secondary Science Safety Contract. Well, this is in there. It's like in the wood shop where at the end of it all you have to write the safety test for every piece of equipment, or the metal shop you write your safety tests for all your equipment. If this is a fill in the blank, some of it we've discussed, some of it we haven't, some of it you may have heard before, some of it's common sense. You need to go through what I should have done. So I'm on the way out. That's okay, I'll get them tomorrow. I want you to go through this on your own or with the people sitting at your table, filling in the blanks from the word banks that are provided using your common sense and stuff you've learned in the past. We're going to go over it, make sure we have all of the same blanks before the end of the day. So we're going to start in 15 minutes. I want you to have this thing done. And at the very back, or at the very end, there is a student safety declaration. It says this: I have read the laboratory safety rules. I will agree to abide by the safety rules for my own safety and the safety of my peers. I understand that failure to observe the lab safety rules may result in my laboratory privileges being canceled. Your name, your signature, and the date. And then you're going to hand this in to me when it's all said and done. So this is what we're working on now. You get 15 minutes to get her done. Go down. Here you go. Oh. Four. Fingers on it. Why do you have staples? So many staples. Okay. You betcha. Number 5, do not blank any chemical or material in the lab. Taste, no tasting. Don't blank chemicals unless instructed to do so. Smell them. Some of them will be hard not to smell, but unless you're instructed to do so, generally don't. And if you do, there is a technique to use. What is it? The wafting technique. Hands up if you are unfamiliar with wafting. Okay. So we all understand that wafting means I hold the thing away from my face and I like push the air towards my face. It's like what bubbly does with flavor. They just kind of push flavor toward carbonated water and you sort of taste what it could be like to have cherry carbonated water. Wafting is similar. Wafting is just, the bubbly of smelling. Number 7, do not blank on lab benches. Don't. Ooh. Okay, well, then what should number 8 be? Students must blank while doing labs. Ooh, these are actually backwards. In the lab, while you're working with chemicals, you need to be free to move easily. You should always be standing while doing labs. And you're not supposed to sit on the lab benches. Do not sit on lab benches. Students must stand while doing labs. If you're playing with chemicals, if you're operating the fire, you're up. You're standing. Yes, there are stools, but that's for when you're like at the end taking your notes or doing some observations or answering some questions. Once everything's been cleaned up, you may sit. But until then, you're up, you're moving around, you're working with the stuff that we're working with, you're standing. Number 9, keep the work area blank. Clean. It should be clean when you get there. It should be clean when you leave it. And make an effort to keep it clean while you're working. No unauthorized blank. Experiments. If you want to see what happens if you mix X and Y together, ask. I'm all for trying random crap in the lab. Let's do it. Let's do it safely. Don't keep it hidden from me. We can have some fun. I had a really cool chemistry teacher when I was in high school. Basically everything we said, yeah, what about this? He's like, that's a great question. Let's do it. We made smoke bombs. We made chlorine gas. I made thermite, which I'm going to do with you guys in a month or so. I did crazy stuff. I learned how to distill methanol. We did ridiculous things. I had a really cool chemistry teacher. I learned how to do a lot of things from them. And all it took was asking him, hey, can we try this? Yeah, you bet. Let's do it. No unauthorized, but by all means, let's try crazy stuff if you have thoughts. Butane lighters, matches, and other flammable materials, blank, blank, be brought to class. Must not. If I want you to light things on fire, I will provide you with the flame-creating materials. Don't bring your own. And that's just a standard school rule. Safety equipment. Know the location of all blank, blank in the lab. Safety equipment. That was the whole point behind the lab map I made you do. Safety blank must be worn for all experiments. Goggles. Contact lenses should not be worn. Use prescription glasses with goggles instead. Generally, even the prescription glasses on their own will be fine. Dress properly during a lab activity. Long hair must be tied back. And dangling jewelry and baggy clothing must be secured. Shoes must completely cover the foot. No sandals are allowed on lab days, which isn't really going to be an issue because we'll be done chemistry before it gets warm enough to wear sandals. Your teacher may require additional safety equipment which blank be worn. They got to be closed-toed, and those Crocs aren't. They're pseudo-closed. They have holes everywhere. I'm gonna say you should avoid the Crocs if possible. Also, like, it's not a safe piece of footwear. It'd slip off. Like, no. In the lab, don't wear Crocs. No Crocs. I appreciate you asking the question. Your teacher may require additional safety equipment which must be worn. Not often. Okay, handling of chemicals. This we have not talked about. This is stuff you've seen before, or common sense, or you deduced it based on the words. All chemicals in the laboratory are to be considered dangerous. They're not all dangerous. We will play with table salt. We will play with that, the powder found on like gummy worms that makes them sour. We have that in the lab. Yeah. Baking soda. We have all sorts of things, but they're not all going to be labeled. Some of them there's labs where it's just like, you have this mysterious chemical A and this mysterious chemical B, and you mix them and you see what happens. Assume that whatever you're working with is dangerous. Do not allow chemicals to come in contact with your skin or eyes as a general rule. It will. All of you will at some point get chemicals on your hands. 99% of the time, some hand washing is fine. Check the blank on all chemical bottles twice before removing any of the contents. Check the what? The label. It's the same idea as measuring twice before you make a cut in woodworking. Make sure you're taking what you need to take. Take only as much as you need. Never blank unused chemicals. Never return. Once you've taken it, I can't put it back. If you take too much, we have to throw it away. Please don't. Dispose of chemicals as instructed by me. No chemicals go down the unless I tell you that it's okay to do so. Dispose of chemicals as instructed by me. Again, never remove chemicals or other materials from the lab. I've seen students do this before. I'm related to a former student, and well, he's too old to be a student, who decided it would be a good idea to swipe a particular chemical from the lab. He put it in his pocket. This particular thing was covered in oil. It's stored in oil because it's reactive with the moisture in the air. So he put it in his pocket. The oil soaked into his clothes, exposing the chemical to the air. And all of a sudden, his pocket burst into flames because he had stolen a little piece of sodium. Stupid. It's my dad. When he was a kid. Don't do this. Don't take things from the lab, especially if you're not, well, fully versed on what they do. Look for blank symbols on containers. Wemyss. Okay, handling glassware. Do not use blank or blank glassware. Cracked or chipped. If it is, let me know. Give it to me. Get a new one. Broken glass must be reported to the teacher who will give instructions for cleaning up. I've given you the instructions already. The dustpan, the brush, the big cardboard box full of disposable or the glass disposal. You know the instructions. Do not tightly stopper a flask when gas is being created. It could explode. Blank and blank all glassware at the end of the lab. Clean and return. Cool. Heating of glassware. Light a blankety blank as instructed by me. Bunsen burner. Hands up if you have never lit a Bunsen burner before. Hands up high. You've never lit one. Cool. You will all light a Bunsen burner. This semester you will have the opportunity, and if you've never done it before, I will make you. It's important to be able to do. Never leave a heat source unattended. That's why you're working in partners. A hot glass does not look hot. Hot glass looks just like any other glass. If it looks hot, it's melting. Handle recently heated glassware with tongs. I don't know why I paused. There's no blank there. I'll show you where the tongs are as we need them. Do not immerse hot glassware in cold water. The same is true for taking a piece of hot glassware and putting it on a wet bench. The water on the bench could cause, and the cold water will make the glass shatter. I mean, it's pretty cool. I've seen it done. It was, and then it explodes. But as a general rule, we want to avoid that. When heating a test tube, always point the test tube away from yourself and others. Never look into a heated container. Near the end of this unit, I will go through. There's a lab our demo I will do. Really good example of why we don't look down a test tube. You betcha. Report all blank and injuries. Accidents. I can sense we're losing momentum. If chemicals, there should be an S there, are spilt on your skin, rinse well with running water. For as long as I tell you to. For chemicals splashed in the eye, rinse immediately at the, which you should all know where they are, or where it is rather. It's not 30 minutes, it's 15 minutes. Hold the eyelids open. It will be cold, it'll be uncomfortable, it'll be worth it. If a chemical is spilled, tell a teacher immediately. Follow directions for safe cleanup. If a fire starts, inform a staff member immediately. Remember, if you're on fire, you betcha, stop, drop, and roll. When the lab is done, blank all glassware. Clean. Wipe the lab benches. Disinfect. This one doesn't happen. We do not disinfect the safety goggles. Sometimes they get run through the dishwasher, but as a general rule, they're not cleaned very often. But number 4, wash your hands. Cool. If you have everything that I have, if you understand all of the things, I want your name, I want your signature, I want the date. And then I want you to put it inside this. All y'all are going to get one of these. Your tests or quizzes, things I hand back to you are all going to go into your folder. I'm going to give you a folder. See how it opens like this? I have to explain this aggressively to my 9s. I want you to put your name on the side where it opens, not on the back. The back is useless to me. Put it on the front where it opens. Here, where it says number, or NO period, I want you to write the block. This is block C. And I want you to put this thing inside this thing, and I want this thing in the bin. Yes, Malik. Hand in anything else you need to hand in to me, your parent letter, your lab diagram, any of the things over the last couple of days that I've handed out to you. I haven't specifically asked for that. If you still need to color that lab diagram, you can hand it in tomorrow. I'll be starting to put things into my head next week. Your name on the thing, put block C on the thing, and the thing in. Let's go. Oh yeah. And that's it for today. Tomorrow we will do a first kind of intro lab, just getting comfortable with some of the different equipment, getting comfortable in the space. When the bell goes, you may also go. Have yourself a great day. Name up here. Inside, only on the inside. Outside is not useful.